Have you had them prepare themselves in whatever way they would have to prepare themselves to come to battle? And I bet what I have, everything I have, that meatloaf.
By 1960, the president of the United States was only 42 years old. Can you imagine? DMX is older than that. And he was going to usher in a new era of peace. He was going to avoid the Cold War. He was going to end segregation. And they blew his brains out in front of everyone in Dallas.
Any good white people in the world?
There may be, but it doesn't matter. And you know why? No matter how good an individual white person may be, they have an obligation to look out for the best interests.
We need to talk about this mess. Charlie Kirk's fans are out here trying to pin the blame on black and brown folks just because nobody's shedding tears over a man who once claimed black people were better off before civil rights since crime rates were lower. That's wild. And let's not forget, these are the same people who laughed at the deaths of Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, George Floyd, and so many others. Yet now, they're suddenly pressed about how people react to Charlie Kirk. There's a pattern here that's hard to ignore.
Actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crime.
In violent lynch mobs,
that's your explanation, but
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been.
That affected?
Black celebrities are stepping in, and while a few are trying to play it safe, others are going full throttle with zero sympathy for Charlie Kirk. 50 Cent even posted something so wild that he had to delete it after the backlash. And now, get this, some of Charlie's own followers are threatening his life, even though they stayed dead silent about the Colorado school shooting that went down just hours after Charlie got shot. Amanda Seales didn't hold back either. She flat out said she has no empathy for Charlie. But then Dr. Umar jumped in, trying to walk a tightrope, telling black folks not to celebrate Charlie's death. So the real question is, what do these reactions show us? Is it just about shock value, or is it exposing how deep America's division really runs? Keep watching, because I'm breaking down every post, every delete, and why these words are shaking things up. The chatter around Charlie Kirk's assassination blew up fast, and the first celeb to jump in, none other than 50 Cent. In classic 50 style, he didn't bother with some polished PR statement or fake condolences. Nah, he went straight for the jugular. He posted a screenshot of the very moment Kirk got shot and captioned it with, "Want to know how I feel about this?"
Worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
I don't know, but I do know it's a good time to shut the F up. That's wild. Of course, Kirk's supporters lost it. They slammed 50 as heartless, insensitive, and accused him of celebrating Kirk's death. Comment sections went crazy with fans saying 50 is over and demanding he get canceled for good. Some even crossed the line, throwing out threats like, "Hope you are next." And the heat must have been too much because just hours later, 50 deleted the post without a word. But let's be real, not everybody thought 50 was out of line. Plenty of people backed him up, reminding everyone that Charlie Kirk made his whole career off mocking black pain, spreading racist conspiracies, and clowning black victims of police brutality. Folks were saying straight up, don't expect us to cry for a man who never showed us an ounce of empathy. One fan even wrote, "I'm not feeling no sympathy for someone who would call me every slur in the book. Sorry, bookie."
In the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage. But
another person clapped back, calling it all performative nonsense while pointing out how quiet people stay when parents lose kids in school shootings. Then came D.L. Hughley, and you already know he wasn't pulling punches. First, he reposted a TikTok where someone dragged Charlie for saying it's worth having some shooting victims here and there if it means keeping his guns. And let's be clear, this isn't made up. That's a direct quote from Charlie himself. He really said, deaths are worth it. But D.L. Hughley wasn't done stirring the pot. He kept going. He shared a clip of Speaker of the House Mike Johnson asking Congress to pray for Charlie Kirk and his family, and D.L. was not having it. He called out the wild hypocrisy, writing, "Has Mike Johnson ever done this for victims of school shootings? Did he do it for Congresswoman Hortman and her husband Mark, who were killed? That's heavy." And when the news hit that Trump ordered U.S. flags flown at half-mast for Charlie Kirk, DL snapped again. He reminded everyone that Trump once raised the flags back up after the Pope's death, but never lowered them for innocent kids taken in school shootings, or even for Congresswoman Hortman herself.
I have watched any number of people of all kinds of stripes, people, theologians, politicians, people who consider themselves activists, all kinds of people on the conservative right talk about empathy, and they talked about empathy as if it was a pariah, empathy as if it was a moral failing, and they referred to empathy as a weakness. And it's interesting that they would call themselves Christian.
DL wrapped it up with one more punch, asking if Charlie's death was tragic, sure, but does it deserve a ceremony of that scale? He told people to answer that themselves. And to top it off, he blasted the hypocrisy of Kirk and his followers, pointing out how they always preached that showing empathy was weakness, yet now they're demanding the whole country feel sorry. Now here's the kicker. They're out here begging for empathy for the same man who once said he couldn't stand the word empathy and even called it a made-up term. The irony is insane, but DL Hughley kept pushing. He dropped a video compilation called Hate and Bigotry, Charlie Kirk's Real Legacy, and he didn't stop there. DL also resurfaced a clip of Charlie flat out denying that George Floyd was killed by a cop, then bragging about wanting Derek Chauvin released. That alone had people heated. And then DL hinted at something even bigger, the theory that Charlie might have been taken out by the very same crowd he always defended. He wrote,
and be anti-empathy because that is the tenet, a core tenet of Christianity. So that is being a Christian without the empathy is like being a sushi chef without the fish. But empathy is apparently a weakness to a lot of people. And you never know, but
I just want to remind everyone that when someone shot Trump, immediately it was the radical left this and the liberal extremists that, but in the end, it was somebody from his own side. And with a sharp caption, DL added, remember, when you point a finger at someone, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. Let's set the record straight. DL wasn't out here cheering anyone on. He was breaking down the racial and political optics, showing how violence gets treated totally different depending on who's involved. Still, Charlie Kirk's fans went off, accusing Hughley of deflecting from the tragedy and making excuses for the shooter. But plenty of people saw it differently, saying straight up that Kirk's supporters are just looking for a reason to spark a race war, and they're mad that black folks are staying in their lane and not falling for it. That's real. And DL's not the only one catching heat. Amanda Seales is also getting dragged after she flat out refused to show empathy for Charlie Kirk during a live Instagram chat. When people pressed her in the comments about having empathy, Amanda clapped back, reminding them that Charlie himself never believed in empathy to begin with. She wasn't about to fake it for someone who openly dismissed the very idea. Amanda broke it down plain and simple. She said she can't have empathy for Charlie Kirk because she could never step into his shoes, and there's nothing about his life or views that she can connect with.
Unlike Charlie Kirk. First of all, Charlie Kirk don't believe in empathy. He said it's a bad thing. He said it's some new age made up shit. He also said people gotta be sacrificed in order to protect guns. If he was saying that while fighting for reparations, I may have a little bit of empathy. But this white on white violence, he died.
That's raw honesty. But the backlash was instant. Charlie's diehard fans swarmed her, calling her every name you can imagine. And it wasn't just white folks. On X, plenty of black men piled on too, throwing insults like scum, idiot, sociopath, and worse. Meanwhile, some white commenters took it even further, saying she should be denaturalized or deported, while ranting about so-called black fatigue. The hate was nonstop. Still, Amanda wasn't standing alone. She had a wave of defenders who reminded everyone of Charlie Kirk's long record of racist anti-black rhetoric. And they pointed out that Amanda wasn't out here celebrating death. She was just refusing to show fake sympathy for someone who never gave black people any to begin with. Amanda's stance was clear. She wasn't celebrating. She was refusing to fake sympathy for a man whose public life spread nothing but harm and division. One fan even pointed it out, saying, Nowhere in there did she celebrate his death. Nowhere in there did she preach hate. She just said she doesn't have empathy for him. And they reminded everyone. Charlie himself once called empathy a new age word that was dangerous. He said it himself. So let's be real. He didn't show empathy, and he didn't want it from others either. Another fan vented, "I'm so tired of this nonsense." Is it sad he got killed? Yes. But does everyone have to care? No. People pointed out that Charlie spent years pushing lies and hate. But now that he's gone, suddenly we're supposed to erase all that and act like he was some saint.
Right? Damn, B. Life comes at you fast. I can't have empathy for someone like Charlie Kirk because I cannot be in his shoes. I have no frame of reference for that. I have no cognizance for that. There literally is nothing about his existence that I can relate to.
I think not. I will not celebrate his death, but I will not be mourning either. And that doesn't make me evil or hateful in the slightest. That's how one fan shut it down. Another chimed in, saying, "She's too real." Now I get why the media is not on her side. The media didn't like Malcolm X either until I started really listening to him. I had no idea what she was really about. Salute to this woman from across the world. She's realer and braver than your fave rapper and your fave rapper's fave rapper. That's some serious praise. But hold up, we gotta talk about Dr. Umar Johnson. A lot of folks thought he'd be on the same page as Amanda, but nope. Umar came through with a lecture. He told black people that all the memes and jokes about Charlie Kirk's assassination went too far and crossed the line. His approach was way more cautious, and it shocked people who expected him to be just as unapologetic. Dr. Umar dropped a full statement on his IG, and it set the tone real quick. He wrote, "While I did not agree with Mr. Kirk's rhetoric and considered him an anti-black bigot, I will never rejoice at the loss of life of anyone who hasn't directly participated in the killing of a member of the black African race. I am ashamed to see members of my community celebrating this situation." He doubled down, saying, "I will never ask you to mourn the loss of an enemy of our race, but to celebrate a killing is completely unacceptable." Umar reminded everyone that historically, the biggest victims of political assassinations in America have been black leaders themselves. His message ended sharp. Stop laughing at the misfortunes of others and get prepared. That warning hit heavy. Dr. Umar tried to frame Charlie Kirk's death as part of political assassinations returning to America, courtesy of the deep state, but his followers weren't buying it. They clapped back hard, accusing him of softening the blow and getting too preachy. One person even commented, "I wonder if you would have written this if they shot you." Just a thought. That cut deep. Others argued that nobody was actually celebrating. They were just refusing to mourn. And then one fan completely went off writing, 50 lashes for you, Dr. Umar, for posting this. You think any non-black would post something like this for you? Stop giving away your energy to vampires. The internet dragged him from every angle. At this point, the chaos is spinning out of control, and it looks like the backlash is only going to get uglier from here. Here's the ugly truth. Whoever pulled the strings behind this hit scored exactly what they wanted: more division and chaos. The country feels split down the middle now, and every reaction shows how fast violence gets weaponized to fracture us. Celebrities, politicians, everyday people. Everyone's adding fuel to the fire, and that uproar right there, that's the outcome the act aimed to trigger. So what do you think about the takes from 50, Umar, and the rest? Can we still talk about the bigger picture as a nation, or are we too fractured to see we're all dancing for the same puppet masters? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's chop it up. Smash that like button and subscribe if you want more breakdowns. I'll catch you in the next video.